Welcome back, everybody. I hope you are doing well. Obviously, a really scary and tragic news cycle going on right now, and individual tragedies and then responses to said tragedies that tell you so much about the state of things in our country. I'll do my best to navigate you through all of this without raising your blood pressure too much. Let's start with this. Laura Ingraham went on the ground in Minneapolis, which is a pretty bonkers idea. And you know what Fox News is trying to get out of this? They want their primetime host to be on the ground and for someone to get really aggressive. And then they have a crazy viral moment. Unfortunately for Laura, fortunately in general, she had to report on how this is kind of peaceful. The protests, justifiable protests in response to the heinous killing of Renee Good. So let's look at this little segment that Laura Ingraham did. Ultimately, someone does scream in her face, but, you know, they keep a distance, and I think it's all just people venting for good reason. Here's Laura Ingraham.
There is nothing like being on the ground, talking to people, to try to get a clearer picture of the story, which is what we did today in Minneapolis. Right now, there are about 300 people here, fairly peaceful. I guess some Antifa are back there.
All right, so we're going to get to the most interesting part, but already, this is what they wanted. They had a little meeting. The producer was like, Laura, this is kind of dangerous because you're extremely famous, and normally you don't send the primetime host out to just mingle with protesters, but okay, we're going to put you in there. There's going to be Antifa. People are going to be going crazy. There's going to be violence, and then we're going to be able to prove our point about how the left is going crazy. So then she goes, all right, so people are here, the peaceful, and I guess there's some Antifa somewhere. We didn't get video, and I don't have any more specifics than that, but there's definitely some crazy Antifa way back out of the shot that you can't see. But from what we can see here, pretty peaceful.
Back there, but we're going to have fires, food, water, a lot of people in masks, but people are coming out and expressing themselves. It kind of takes on almost a community civic event. I wouldn't say celebration, but it's a gathering. And although it was pretty peaceful, and it really was. I mean, in that vigil, it was basically people, you know, they had a fire, they were giving out food, water, and, you know, some people were chanting. So that was fine. But if you actually go into the mix and try to chat with people, you end up getting escorted out. And they kind of nicely but aggressively escort you out across their border.
So again, this did not go at all how they were hoping it to. They show up. They're thinking of summer of 2020. They're wanting the story to shift from the insane justification of what I perceive to be a murder by the Trump administration, at the same time as they're telling us, don't jump to conclusions. An investigation needs to play out. They're jumping to conclusions before the investigation plays out. And they're saying this was just totally self-defense by the ICE agent. And some of them even going as far as to say Renee Good had it coming. Some sick stuff you've seen over the last 48 hours online. And so she shows up there, sees a bunch of people peacefully mourning and protesting, and is devastated. You can kind of see. And then she goes, well, people were escorting me. Kindly, but aggressively kindly. Do you know? They're like, get out of here, you, and also here's the way that you can walk. Have a nice day. But you can hear have a nice. There's something aggressive about the way they word it. While we continue through this, please do click the subscribe button if you do appreciate this show. What an honestly disorienting time to be covering American politics.
So then we headed over to the Whipple Federal Building where Garrett just was. And earlier in the day, you saw some of those conflicts between the ICE officers and the protesters were there. And things there, well, they got a little more interesting.
Disgrace to the human race.
Why are you wearing a mask?
Disgrace to the human race.
Why are you wearing a mask?
Because my nose is cold. Why do you care if I'm wearing a mask?
I'm just curious. Just a question.
Best response in history. Because my nose is cold. Her nose is cold, Laura. Wait. Oh, so now we have a problem with people wearing masks, do we? Random private citizens, why are you wearing a mask? Law enforcement personnel, no problem. No identification?
This is cool. Why do you care if I'm wearing a mask?
I'm just curious. Just a question.
Agitators!
This is the crowd, and they apparently are policing their borders. So they're policing their borders here, which is fascinating.
Shame! Shame!
Oh, bro, it's so boring.
Shame! Shame!
Do you have a job?
To the human race.
Do you have a job?
Shame! Shame! I'm getting paid right now.
Well, and as we were leaving in our vehicle, they did what they can do. They gave us all the finger. I think they secretly liked us, so.
Interesting way to interpret. I do that sometimes too when people give me the finger. I'm like, yeah, I am number one. Thank you. I perceive it that way. So that's what she was up to on the ground. I'm proud of the protesters there. Of course, express yourself. You see a propagandist like Laura Ingraham, whose network right now is doing so much work to justify Renee Good being horrifically killed. And you don't want them there trying to get a viral moment where someone's mean to them. So the best you can do is shout at them. Shame is a perfectly fine word. I think that's perfectly fine to use. And maybe the bird makes an appearance, God forbid. Maybe a little bird. A little bit of this action. Look at me. Look at me. I'm too much of a wussy to even do it on this show. Here, I'll do this one. I can't get it up though. All right, now speaking of Laura Ingraham, here's her going, hey, and remember when we made a whole culture war issue out of Michelle Obama trying to address the quality of food and obesity? We take it all back now.
Brooke, Madam Secretary, sorry, I should say friend. I screw it up all the time. Seaweed. There are ways to have snacks that are actually really good. It has a lot of salt in it, but I still like it. Peanuts. I have some peanuts here. You probably can't see them because they're on my sheet. See my peanuts? Can you see them?
I can see them.
So, there are lots of healthy snacks, and we should encourage kids to have them and not eat the other junk.
So a big pushback, that's exactly right, Laura, is people will say, oh, well, here comes the Trump administration.
Yeah, nanny state.
Nanny state,
Big
and
gulps.
it's going to be too expensive, and what happened to affordability?
Yeah.
To eat healthy, to have fish or chicken or pork or beef with a side of vegetables, a whole grain piece of bread, a glass of whole milk is right around $3 to $4 per serving. Well, that's less than any.
You haven't seen the servings that I'm eating. With all due respect, you have not. Look at that new camera. That's cool. You've not seen I could not get a serving that fills me up for $3 to $4. Let me just tell you for a second. I love how Bobby's just sitting over there. And Laura Ingraham's talking to her audience like they're children. Look, there's healthy snacks. Seaweed and peanuts. I like to eat the rotted feet of what? What would he eat the rotted foot of for a snack, for a nice afternoon snack? Just pick your own adventure on what the rotted foot is that he's eating of my ex-lovers.
Per serving. Well, that's less than any fast food meal that you.
Some people, some people, oh gosh, here we go. Ready? Some people keep little trinkets to remember their past mistresses. I keep their feet.
Could get, but what we have to do better at, and what we're working on also, is those underserved communities that don't have access to a Whole Foods or
Michelle Obama
H-E-B.
called them food deserts. I kind of used to poke fun of her for that.
Listen.
Is she right?
In fact, there's part of that. That's correct. But here's how we fix it.
We take it all back. She's right.
Listen, 250,000 retailers in America take.
Laura says we take it all back. She's right. This has been something that's so annoying, which is before when food would be discussed, you'd have Fox News running segments being like, they're trying to keep us from eating our burger and you can't take my meat, blah, 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 blah. And this is the dictatorship of the Obamas. And now that Maha is saying in some ways similar things, very narrowly, to be clear, when it comes to making people less reliant and fixated on ultra-processed foods for all these different reasons, systemic and otherwise, and food deserts and access to healthy meals, that is an important thing we have to address. It's not about taking away your freedom to eat Mickeys, okay? And trust me, I'd be on the streets too if you tried to take away my freedom to eat McAdee's from time.
Cheeseburger.
Thank you. From time to time, very infrequently, unless I'm in an emotional bout. Then I sat-eat.
To add one more thing to the conversation, I mean, as Dr. Devi talked about, people have concerns about not just the medical part of this, but also about the food, the pesticides, everything.
Yes.
Interestingly enough, there was another person who many years ago tried to raise concerns about the health of the food that we feed our children and our families. And here's the reception that she received.
When I heard this, I thought, get your damn hands off my fries, lady. If I want to be a fatty and shovel French fries all day long, that is my choice.
We're going to have, the government fining us if we use salt.
Coming up straight ahead, all this talk about the government taking salt away from you because it's so bad for you. But aren't there good things about salt?
I hate the government getting involved and telling me what to eat and not to eat.
Food police. Do you think the government should regulate the ingredients in the food we eat?
Can't we make our own decision about whether or not we want to salt our food?
All right, an Obama.
Okay, some of these hosts, it's fitting. Some of these hosts crack me up. Like this host saying, we should be able to eat whatever we'd like. You haven't had a carb since you were like 13 years old, okay? And so maybe you're the wrong spokesperson for this. To use Glenn Beck's phrase, I think it hits a little harder when we got, I don't want to use the phrase, but a beautiful, larger feller to talk to us about the freedom that we need, as opposed to someone whose diet consists of 3 berries and a piece of lettuce, okay? Respect to you. That's hard work. Wrong spokesperson.
Our decision about whether or not we want to salt our food.
All right, an Obama government obesity task force. Does every American family need a dietitian appointed by the government to tell them that this food is going to make you fat and this food is not?
So now they're totally fine with it. And as we talked about before, Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s say no to fat, say no to obesity campaign is great with them. Which some of the messaging has been ridiculous. But we do need to address our health problems. We do need to figure out, not just through telling people you should eat healthier, but actually implementing policies that close the systemic gaps that cause people to become addicted to these super ultra processed foods. And that is a good step, even if it's going to be rolled out in bizarre ways, as just has to happen whenever Bobby is our HHS secretary. But they're hypocrites. And I wanted to mention that. Now I got a chance to.